Welcome to Finance Dojo. We aim to be the best personal finance educational channel you'll ever need. Click that subscribe button and the notification bell right now so you won't miss out. If I had to sum up the typical person's relationship with money in one quote, it would go something like this. Money comes slowly and leaves quickly. I work in the service industry for 7 years at an $8 an hour, and I can attest to the truth of that statement. I would work 8-hour shifts on my feet, come home exhausted, and still not make more than $100 a day. During those 7 years, I was fortunate enough to be living at home and therefore didn't have too many expenses. But I did learn a lot about budgeting and saving on a tight budget. I learned that we can't always control incoming money, but we can control outgoing money. If you have a low-paying job, you know this is true. In this video, I'll share 11 money-saving strategies I learned while living on a tight budget for 7 years. Tip number 1. Learn how income works. There are thousands of jobs in the world, but there are only 2 ways to make money. Physical labor like construction and mental labor like office work. There's no best job, but mental labor pays more than physical labor. It's hard to save a lot of money if you're not making a lot of money. That's a reality. You are not better than anyone else, and no job is better than another. However, in general, that is how income works. You will be able to save more money and earn more money if you can find methods to use your mind rather than your body to get money. Tip number 2. Connect time and money. Saving is easier when you realize money is time. If you're getting a wage or salary, your money represents your time because you're selling your time for money. I used to make $8 an hour, and I soon discovered that it took me roughly 10 minutes of work time to earn just $1. Every time I spend $1, I'd ask myself, is this worth the 10 minutes it took to make money? Usually, no. For every dollar you spend when you're living on a low income, you must ask yourself this question, because it takes more time to earn money the less money you make. Spending money on useless items is a waste of time, so save your money instead of wasting it. Tip number 3. Know the difference between wants and needs. There are a lot of people in this world who cannot distinguish between needs and wants. I'll tell you, it's sad. Food, water, and shelter are needs. Ice cream and Netflix are wants. It's that easy to save money. All you need to do is distinguish between wants and needs. Eliminate the wants and concentrate only on meeting your needs. Spending money once is fine, but if you don't have the cash, that's when there's problem because it'll keep you stuck in your low income situation. Tip number 4. Think small. People think too big when saving money. People try to save $100, but not $1. But saying to yourself, it's not that much money, it's just $1, it's the biggest money-saving mistake you can make. Because in reality, saving $100 is much harder than saving just $1. If you decide to reduce your spending by just $1 each day, it will add up to thousands of dollars at the end of the year. And if you have a low income and you want to save $1,000, you need to look at it as a $1,000 decision rather than one decision that will save you $1,000. Tip number 5. Don't spend much on work. Working isn't free, and you can spend a lot of money on it by commuting and eating out. If you have a low income, you might be making a lot of less money than you think because working costs so much. For instance, if you live 15 miles from work and earn $8 per hour, 1 hour of your work day will be spent just on gas. If you're at a low-income job that's far away, you could be spending a third of your salary on work-related expenses and making a lot less than you think. Maybe it's time to find a job closer to home or just try something a little different. Even though it's much simpler said than done, if you're spending all this money on work, your job might not be worth it. Tip number 6. Track all your expenditures. This will save you the most money. You must track your expenses because otherwise, you can't save money. You must record every penny spent. Many apps do this, but I prefer an Excel sheet. Every single time I make a purchase, I simply record it on my sheet to the very last penny, then set it aside. With the different categories, I can see where I'm overspending. Tip number 7. Cut easy things first. After a month, you can see where you're overspending, which is very intriguing. Some things are simple to give up, like a cup of coffee, and things that are a little bit trickier, like lowering your rent. For instance, if I wanted to cut costs, I could simply stop buying drinks, going out to dinner, and other entertainment options. This would help me save almost $200 a month. When you track your spending, you become more mindful because you physically type it in whenever you spend money. Tip number 8. Lower difficult expenses. You'll notice that the majority of your expenses go to 3 things after tracking them: transportation, housing, and food. For instance, if you have a low income, there is no reason you should own a nice car. Instead, you should return it to the dealer and purchase a cheap car that can be paid off in a year. If you live in a large apartment, think about downsizing to save money on rent. As for groceries, I stick to a monthly grocery budget while purchasing nutritious foods. This is where you can save the most money, so track your expenses and see what you can lower. Tip number 9. Pay yourself the difference. Pay yourself first means you should pay yourself first before others. The majority of the money we earn is spent on other people. We pay rent, buy groceries, and maintain our vehicles. However, we still need to set aside a small amount of money each month to pay ourselves. Otherwise, your savings won't increase. As a result, you must set aside a specific sum of money, track your expenses, and then determine how much you can pay yourself before depositing that money in a savings account. Tip number 10. Keep your money separate. When you decide how much to save and pay yourself first each week, separate the money. Banks offer a variety of accounts for various purposes, including checking, savings, and investment accounts. Put the money where it belongs so you know exactly where your hard-earned cash is going. When you separate the money, you know what the purpose of the money is, because if you don't, you might unintentionally spend it. Savings account could be for emergencies, investment accounts for growing money, and checking accounts just for spending. Tip number 11. Use your money to make more. The amount of work you put in does not determine your income, as I stated at the beginning of this video. I believe that in this world, the harder you work, the less money you make. Your income depends on the industry you work in. In the service industry, salary potential is capped at a certain level, regardless of one's level of experience or responsibility. Saving money will therefore be much simpler if you use your savings to invest in yourself and try to find ways to escape the low-income environment. As always, this video is for educational purposes only and not financial advice. You should always do your own research and speak to a financial advisor before making any investment decisions. Thank you for watching and see you in the next one.